Okay, it's just coming up. Okay, good. Should be good. Okay, thanks a lot, Nicholas, in your own time. Looking forward to hearing your presentation.
Okay, so hi, good morning, everybody. We're here to talk about MPD's new idea about putting DIY cooking shelves, the kits on the supermarket shelves. So very quickly intro, me, I'm a new junior marketing executive at Foodmeister, and we're here to talk about this new product idea. We're going to talk about some research findings, and then we'll go over personas and targeted messaging. So let's cut right to it. The product proposition, what we're looking to do. Currently, we all know DIY fresh meal kits. They're only sold online via subscription. But people may want, what we're looking for is possibly on supermarket shelves. So there's a gap between the two, which we'll call the unmet consumer want. And what we want to do is see if we could bridge that gap. That's MBT. So where do we come in? The marketing team. Well, we have to make sure by doing some research that this will actually work by matching what the public wants, find out who the target audience would be, and then determine how to best reach or advertise to this audience. So we'll quickly look at the competition because we need to know what we're up against. And we are a global company, but what we're going to be looking at is for this research product and project, we had to limit the scope just to the UK for a variety of reasons. We could rule out Blue Apron and Mindful Shelf because they're premium and expensive. And according to the brief, is we're looking for affordable solutions. And we've identified food stirs. They're not in the UK, and they're actually only baking kits, so not what we're looking for. So what we're looking to do is put something like a similar product to what HelloFresh and Gusto do right on the supermarket shelves. So first thing we could do is get a bit scientific. We come up with hypotheses. They're tests. So what we're going to do is come up with an idea, say, okay, if we introduce these kits to the supermarket shelves, can it increase our profits by matching that untapped demand for this proposed product? And then on the flip side, we'll come up with a hypothesis of the opposite. Maybe it won't work. And by introducing this, we won't be able to compete. There won't be enough demand, and it could lead to financial losses for our company. And what we're going to do is research. And we did a survey, and everybody loves survey. And, excuse me. Did a quite detailed survey. I have a full list of questions, screenshots of the actual survey, and a link to the online survey in the appendix at the back of this presentation. It's quite dense, but we'll be going over the relative findings here. It was fast, 15 questions, only 2 minutes to do it. We had a little voucher sweepstakes to encourage people to do it. And it was completely random. So I sent it out to 300 people, and we had a 12% completion rate. It's actually pretty good by statistics. Usually surveys are about between 5 and 25%. And we had a quantitative questions, covered these main targets of demographics, who we're talking to, home cooking habits, people's attitudes about ingredients, recipes, and then what they do when they're not cooking. So 4 broad categories. And let's go over our key data insights. What did we find in the survey? So the demographics for the first part. And we found, and this is important because with statistics, I won't bore you with the details, but according to the central limit theorem, with a random sample, we got about 36. It's good enough approximation out of 10% of 300 surveys, and it showed a very broad split in these categories, which reflect the population as a whole. So I have the results of the survey reflect the attitudes of the overall market. So we saw even split between gender, household split between 1 and 4 with a couple outliers, age, vast majority between 25 and 69, income, very wide range there. So we're looking at a big group of people. So what's going to happen is we need to find out what happens if people are not cooking. So we're looking to sell meal kits. Now what we found is interesting because, well, most they obviously eat ready meals or takeaways or restaurants. So they're not cooking, they have to be eating something else. But that's actually not that important because also what they spend is not that important either. And you'd think it would be, but when you think about it, it's not because what could be really relevant here is when you feel like you're spending too much on food that you don't cook yourself. You think that would be relevant, but actually, okay, it's about 50-50% split. But data, they still don't lend any insight. We don't know, does that mean would the respondents rather spend less money when they're not cooking, or would they rather spend more time cooking in order to save money? So this leads us to think that we need to just not think about what people are not cooking and let's focus on the behaviors around cooking because we're going to be selling cooking kits. And let's drill down to we asked about recipes. Yeah, most people use them. They find them online. I know I do through my Facebook curry groups or BBC Good Eats. About half people use recipes or not whilst cooking. I know I have a lot of recipes in my head, and I look up a lot of recipes, but even split on that. And this is important because looking at the data, we found that the recipe usage is not tied to how much people cook. So where they're currently getting their recipes is not affecting their cooking. Nothing actionable there, but don't worry, we did come up with stuff that's very interesting because we found that new recipes, sorry, excuse me, we found when we asked the question if any recipes would inspire you to cook more often, fast recipes win. And not by much, about 35% you see here, but we did, quite a few international cuisine as one of the project briefs, calorie counting, maybe restricted diet, money saving, but quick and easy. And it's not really clear, is DIY meal kit alone going to fill this want? But when we start connecting the dots, we'll find out more. Cooking habits, vast majority spend the majority of the week. We did it between 4 and 7 days cooking. It's 80% is cooking from scratch. And interestingly, 80% spend less than 1 hour cooking. It's quite a few only spend 1.5 hours to 1 hour and under 30 minutes. That's quite not much time per meal. But this is really interesting is that the majority way over these people that cook because we did screen out people who never cook altogether so you can this is only for people who cook that vast majority wish they could spend even less time in cooking. So even if they're only cooking 30 minutes, it's still too long for them. Also, ingredients, almost the same amount. There's about 3/4 of the population that we hold. They spend too much money on unnecessary ingredients. Why is this important? Well, say if you want to cook something new, and I have an example when I last did a curry, I did kaffir lime leaves. And where do you get a kaffir lime leaf? I go to the grocery and then they only sell them for like 200 grams. It's like £5, and I only need one leaf for the recipe. And a year later, I still have a big bag of lime leaves that I spent £5 for just for one leaf. This plays into meal kits. Now, we found that regardless of past or usage, and people subscribe to say HelloFresh or Gusto, that 75% would actually buy them in the supermarket. It was very specific with this question. If it were available at your supermarket, for what reason would you buy them? But see convenience here, mass majority there, and trying something new or recipes. So that kind of implies very much an impulse purchase or something unique and convenient. Only 12% would not purchase one for any reason. Important again that the number well close to 80-90% would buy one. They say they're interested. So in summary, most people spend under an hour cooking. They still want to spend less time cooking. They say new recipes could inspire them to cook even more, want to save money on ingredients, and the vast majority would buy them with convenience being a primary factor. So we're going to drill this down, putting all this together and distill it. What we're looking for is the problem. The product is not just selling something. We're looking for a problem that people have, and how can we solve that? The problem is within cooking habits, but specifically, it's convenience. They want something more convenient. They want to spend less time. By providing this product on the supermarket shelves, we're solving a problem by allowing for convenience. So, we did, based on the research, look, there's definitely unmet need. The consumer, the research backs it up, and that if we include these kits and sell them on the supermarket shelves, we can increase our profits because we can match untapped demand. But there is a caveat, and I will get back to you on that. And very quickly, we're going to talk about marketing and personas and targeted messaging. So, what's a persona? Types. They're imaginary people, and based on our research and say age groups and demographics, what we're looking for is each buying factor, say a young single something living in the city that wants convenience. We're going to be coming up with imaginary people, and each one is going to be like a motivation. And I have several examples here. You can see we have Janice, and the key with personas is that we're making them as realistic as possible. And why do we do that? I got a photo of this imaginary person, but it's very specific. Wife, mother, spends her time teaching, commuting a lot, less time. We have our goals and needs, and you all get a copy of this presentation with our personas in detail. It is quite dense. I do appreciate that. But the reason we make this so dense and so detailed, it's easier for us to put ourselves in the head of somebody when you could see a face and you know where they live, we know where to find them. You can kind of get in their head and understand and try to get an idea where would they go? You know, if I were this person, what would I want? What kind of problem do I have that needs solving? You know, this is an example, you know, that okay, she's probably on Facebook groups. These are leading to how can we target them? With what more we know about somebody, we can use like Google affinity targeting. And these are the categories that Google puts out. It's public information. You can find it online. Marketing department has a full list of them. And these would be, say, the search trends. You know, we know that she's a book lover, a quick chef. And these would be, say, search terms we'd want to target our advertising towards these categories. So and an example is easy way to look at it is pain point. You know, what's the problem? Maybe Janice doesn't feel like she's cooking enough for her family. So what do? Give her the solution: quick and easy meals planned out, nice DIY kit right on the supermarket and come up with an advertising message here. You know, she's time strapped, quick, stress free, healthful meals. Pick up Food Meister kit. And we come up with this because we had all that detail on that previous slide. So we really getting ahead of this person. I came up with two more examples so you can see these segmented down as opposed to say the married mother of two. We have single 20 something who works in London, who commutes a lot. She's going to work. She's always on the tube, hanging out with her friends. You know, she has like the girls' night in. I know that for many of my relatives is a thing. And she likes cooking, loves, you know, always have the phone out. You see it all the time. You're going out to restaurants, putting their, you know, Instagrammable meals. And somebody like this, for example, would have a different targeting criteria. If we know, say, if Janice is driving to and from work, display ads wouldn't be appropriate. But in this example here, London Ground, Underground, bus, this is where you can reach these folks. Also Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, most likely not LinkedIn. These are kinds of things that are best done with marketing team and product team. We sit down and brainstorm and really get inside the heads of these segments of the population that we think the product would appeal to. Same with Sally. She's maybe a pain point. Oh, not the hostess with the mostest. And again, solution, something quick and easy she can grab. She can cook it from scratch and be a nice fat meal. Here we go. You can see here, we can break down the targeting to mobile, you know, enthusiasts, social media enthusiasts, very, very specific public transit users, and also targeted message. Also, we're honing in that theme of convenience platform, Instagram for, you know, this I know this generation, it is the social network of choice, even more than Facebook. Got a third example here, and this would be alluded to in our research findings that we found that dietary restrictions and so like diet conscious was also a factor. And for example, this gentleman Mo, vegan, doesn't like high amounts of fat and sugar, and something like this would be an interesting segment to target because here, for example, choosing vegan food, it might be really a pain for somebody to check the labels of every single ingredient to put things together to make sure it's completely vegan, and having a meal that is certified vegan in the supermarket, easy to pick up, and we know you can make it right on demand. Also, you can see targeting criteria: organic food, vegans, green living, health and fitness. We could use a message, we know it's not easy being vegan or not easy being green. That was Kermit the Frog, but something along those. And also, they would think, where would we best reach him? Probably Google. He's maybe vegan. He's searching. He reads a lot online about politics or vegan food, looking for vegan recipes. And we think that would be appropriate under these categories. So that's a quick overview of personas and a couple examples we came up with. But all of our research and everything, it shows, yes, there's a big demand for this type of thing. And people, yeah, it looks like they would buy it. And we think that it's good, but you have to, and it's outside of the scope of the marketing teams. To come down to business and logistics, you have to think and look beyond the numbers. Would it actually be economical, feasible for us? I mean, we have major competitors that actually try to do this. We can't just send out surveys and rely on that. You have to look at what's going on behind the scenes. So what can we do that's going to work in this space? I mean, these are two very big examples. HelloFresh actually tried doing this 5 years ago before they even started it. So what was going on at that company for them to think this is not a good idea for them? Mindful Chef, we rolled it out. They tried to partnering with Waitrose. It only lasted about 3 months, and Waitrose ended it. So why? That is really important. Is most likely, from what I saw, down to economics. Something economically wasn't working. Doesn't mean it won't work for us, but it's something that should be considered. So thank you, everybody. That's it. And I will now turn it over if you'd like to ask any questions. And you'll get a copy. And thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you for all the details. Yeah, I have a few follow-up questions, but
Absolutely.
you really went through a lot of detail. And actually, as you were going through and presenting, I had ideas that you then answered in subsequent slides. So I don't have too much to probe on. I'm a little bit curious about your survey and how you found your sample, because looking at your demographics, you seem to have an amazing split, 50-50, male, female, good age range, good range in terms of people living alone, with a partner, with children. And so these 300 people that you sort of targeted and the 36 responses that you got, how did you find those 300 people?
My contact list, over about 20 years worth of contacts. I just pulled out, I dumped everything from Google into a spreadsheet, and I just picked out 300 and blasted it out. And it just literally is, it has to be random. I have a background in statistics.
So it was random. Yeah.
Yes, I'm quite a data monkey, and I was looking to get that magic number of N. If you get N, N is the population sample size. Once it hits 30, you get more confidence statistically that it is a true, accurate representation of the population as a whole.
Yeah.
I did not have time, or actually, I mean, it's been a while since I've done it, to sit and crunch deviation and confidence levels and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the results bear out, because you could see the sample size in the survey results, how it does actually wind up being an even split in what you would expect in each age range. It pretty much fell into those categories.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that it was random. I think, if you were going to really take this to market and really test out, there's a couple of different ways you could do it. You could say, right, well, I'm just going to test it in one particular area and do a small sort of pilot. Or you could say, I really want to get more research, and I'll send it out to 10,000 people or whatever. But the fact that you more than 30, and the fact that you targeted a random sample. So this, maybe the fact that they're in your contact list takes away some of the randomness, because they might have something in common.
Absolutely.
That they're in your contact list. But that's already a fairly diverse list. And also you said it's accumulated over many years. So that was really interesting. Thank you. What about the challenges you had of defining the questionnaire? We didn't talk through each of your questions, but I got a good feel for the questions through your detailed analysis and summarizing of what had happened, the responses that you'd got. Were there any challenges when it came to putting together the questionnaire? Anything that you want to share with us that we can take into account for the future?
I would say, and it wasn't a challenge, but before I spent quite a bit of time writing it and rewriting it and looking at it and taking it. And one thing I realized before sending it out was it's always useful, and it is in the appendix. You could see my screening criteria is to make sure to, I don't want to use the word get rid of, but if somebody is not going to fit what we're looking for in the survey, that doesn't mean that we're not looking to get answers we want. But there's no point in doing a survey if we're looking for a product for people that cook. We want to have an ability to screen
Yeah.
out if somebody says we never cook, and then we had a, it's all about the getting those probing questions. Okay, if you don't cook, you said you don't cook, using a logical test. Skip to the question, is there anything, would it be anything at all that can inspire you to cook? With that definitive option, nope, I'm not cooking, never ever, I refuse to do it. And then out of the survey they go. Because otherwise what we're looking at is a random sample, but we want to get that sample of people that cook. And then from there,
Yeah.
do they want anything additional? And also it's drilling down, like you saw that there's quite a few questions. We're like looking, first you might research, like, that's disappointing because it's not giving us the answers we want. But we're here to try to uncover the truth. We don't want to build a questionnaire that's trying to leading questions to give us, okay, yeah, this is a good idea. It's really important to be as neutral as possible.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
completely. Yeah, completely. Okay, yeah, that's a good point about screening out people who don't cook at all, because there could be some people like that. And then what about on the personas? Was there anyone who sort of like was like fourth or fifth, or like who you kind of thought about but decided to discount when you were coming up with your personas? The three that you've defined seem like very interesting targets for the product. Was there anyone else who you thought of but didn't quite make the cut?
Yes, there were. The one example is university students. I thought about including that, but I think they would not be as significant buying segment as these are only three. We could come up and sit and brainstorm, maybe come up with 10, different ones. But it's really trying to capture as the larger buying segments if possible. So I think like these three examples would maybe cover, and I can't give you an exact number, but maybe
Mhm.
say 2/3 or 3/4 of the types of folks we're looking for.
Yeah,
But say university students, I thought, okay, that might be a good one because people that want to cook more, but that it's practical and how many, go shopping. And remember, it's very specific. We're looking for people who go to a supermarket.
yeah.
It could be online delivery. Everything nowadays it's delivered, but does
Mhm.
a university student, do they have the disposable income for an affordable meal? Do they have the time? But at the end of the day, you have to really pick what you
Yeah.
think will capture a bigger net, if you will.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Could
yeah,
be a
I
could
did
be a
roll.
sub-segment in the future for, affordability. Maybe also with your kind of younger, health conscious, vegan, a lot of students now sort of leaning towards vegan or at least vegetarian tendencies. It could be a sub-segment, but I agree it's probably small for what the product's looking for to begin with. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and
Okay.
also the other thing is that something like that, part of that population would be captured in, say, my third example,
Yes.
Mo, for
Yeah.
example, it would kind of be captured as overlaps. So
Yeah.
these personas not cut and dry, if you're 23, you're not included. So it's rough, it's a rough
Yeah.
range.
Yeah. 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 Okay. And then, yeah, if you had more time on this project, because I know we're up against a tight timeline, is there anything more you do, research-wise, or looking into the personas, or could be the advertising and the targeting angle? Is there anything you wish you could have done in this project that you just didn't get a chance to do?
Yes, if I had more time, and it might have been a little bit outside of scope, but it's when I got to at the end, it's about the feasibility, because it's really important when we're doing research is to see what's already been done. So we're not reinventing the wheel. I did a really much more thorough competitive analysis of, like in this example, we had to narrow it to the UK market just out of scope because you have to for initial I mean, it'd be fascinating to try, seeing what's happening in North America and Europe, but that
Mhm.
complicates it
Mhm.
infinitely more. But to look at it, research and understand why did HelloFresh do this and fail? Or did they fail? Did they decide, no, we're doing it better this way? Economies of scale. I would have done research with the logistics of actually having it on the supermarket shelf, that sort of thing. Also done research into Waitrose, Mindful Chef. So that portion of it, getting a little bit outside of the methodology of the survey and the research and looking at, okay, this is great, there's a demand for it, but is it something that's worth pursuing? And we should do at least an initial scope and then pass it off to the team that would be experts.
Yeah, wonderful. Sounds good. Sounds great. Okay, thank you for all of the hard work and all of the details. Good. I think we're done for today. I'll just stop the recording here.